बादल बदल दे या खुदाया फजल हर बादल बदल दे या मौला मौला या Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're listening to Radio Lansar on 90.4 FM in Durban and 105.6 in Pietermaritzburg. You're listening to the one and only iconic, amazing one in the world, the Radio Al Ansar. Yes, we're coming to you live from our studios at 207 West Road. It's just gone past 10 o'clock, which means it's time for the Dil Badal Day show. My name is Fazal Joosab, and I'm the host of this amazing show. And yes, you are hearing me live. Yes, I've been away for a few weeks, alhamdulillah. Back now, back in the saddle, and feeling good about it. So, wherever you're in the world, you are going to miss Al Ansar, as is the case with me. But shukr, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. It's been an amazing journey, and so on and so forth. But, while we were away, we had our recordings and we did our live shows as well. I'm sure we didn't want to in any way disappoint you guys out there. So if you were listening in last week, I'm sure you heard the show about self-esteem as well. But before we go into that, let's just talk about the new listeners, because there must be some people out there that are wondering, who's this guy? What's he talking about? He's talking a bit too fast. What's going on? It's adrenaline. I promise you, it's the adrenaline. It's creating havoc with me because I'm excited. I'm excited. You know, Saturday comes, it's an exciting time for me because I get to talk to you guys out there. We've been doing the show for a very long time, 16, 17, 18 years. I don't know. Can't keep track anymore. But the truth of the matter is that every Saturday is an amazing experience because I get to speak to so many thousands of diverse, amazing, wonderful people out there. And you don't know who out there might just get the message. And that's what we hear from time to time when people walk up to us on some, because look, we're on Facebook as well, so I think they're starting to recognize the face as well. And sometimes we're talking in public and people over here, we talking and they recognize the voice. But the compliments and alhamdulillah, lucky it's compliments, not criticism. Because I'm sure to be a realistic show, you have to have criticism, but mostly it's compliments. And people walk up and say, you know, I loved what you said and I loved the way you put it. And that's such a huge booster for us. It's like a vitamin B12, you know, that really gives us the drive to say that, you know what, alhamdulillah, we're doing well. So for all the new listeners out there, my name is Fazal Joosab. I am a family and marriage counselor, which means I get involved in situations that require intervention, which means the situation of marriage, which means you have an issue in your marriage that you can't somehow overcome. So before you pull the chicken switch, which is divorce, you'd like to get some help, which is counseling, and then you approach me, alhamdulillah, we sit down, we talk, we identify the problem, we solve the problem without dissolving the sanctity and the beautiful thing that you'll have built, which is called a home, and which many people reside in, including your kids. So no problem is unsolvable. That is our belief, because with the Fazal and the mercy of Allah Pak, everything can be overcome, and that's how we work. So we diagnose the issue, analyze the problems, strategize the solution, and we work towards it and we get there. And like I said, we've been doing it for a very long time, almost 20 years now, and we get it done. So that's what we do. Now, the show has been devised to bring those tips and hints and those mechanisms, coping skills to the general public out there who might not have the time or the effort or just to like reach out for counseling. But at the end of the day, you just might hear something which I might say like, don't get angry. You know, it's so easy to get angry. It's very hard to stay calm, but that's where your true strength lies, in staying calm. And the strength of a man is not where you wrestle another person, is where you keep calm. So your wife can be harsh with you and she can say some nasty things. Overlook it because she's done a lot for you. She is doing a lot for you. So what if you overlook it? And this is not the advice of me. I'm actually quoting the advice of the illustrious Sahaba radhiyallahu and Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who has amazingly afforded us all this knowledge. So that's the show. That's what we do. That's the new listeners. So like I said, last week we spoke about self-esteem. Now, if you missed last week's show, self-esteem was about who you are, your true perception of who you are. That means If you, I have to ask you who you are. If you have a correct self-esteem, you'll say, "This is who I am. I am illustrious. I am unique. I am amazing. I haven't done a lot of amazing things, but my DNA, my fingerprint, my retinal scan is unique. On the day of judgment, there will be trillions, zillions, kajillions of people, but I am me. I am one. And Allah sees me, and He sees me individually. So I feel myself very blessed. I feel myself. Now, that's one answer you could say. Or another answer you could say, I feel so invisible. I feel so um, neglected, ignored. I feel um, indifferent. I feel out of place. Now, if you feel that, then that means you haven't been identified. That means you haven't been told who you are. Now, like we explained last week, a very important part of developing self esteem is in your childhood. Now, you're probably asking, why do we know who we are? Look, get the job done, go to work, get paid, have salary, pay your rent, pay your lights, buy some food. And you know what? Just be a nice guy all around. And when you meet nice people, don't hold on to them, isn't it? Anyway, so but when you get pushed, when you get pushed to a level where you know what, you can't handle things anymore, or like you are in a situation of no reverse and no U-turn, then that's where your true identity comes to the front. Now, if you don't know who you are, you're not going to have the confidence to now stand up. So if somebody really push your buttons and you say, you know what, I'm better than this, that means you know who you are. Now, that's self-esteem. And that brews or that develops confidence. So you need that nowadays because tolerance is what we have to have. We waited over a year, more than a year, for this Palestinian situation to like kind of like settle down, and it's looking like it's settling down with the Fazal of Allah Pak. Whatever is happening is happening, but at least now the Palestinian people will get some kind of respite. Allah's shukr that you know what, at least this is happening. But how tolerant we had to be, how we cried. Who has not cried? I'd like to meet somebody who hasn't cried. I'd like to meet somebody who wasn't affected. We all were so affected, but we had to tolerate the situation. Now you see, you need that. And what we said to ourselves, that Allah is just, Allah is merciful, that Allah is watching. See, we know who we are. So self-esteem is a very important thing. That's what we touched on last week. But now this week, what we're going to talk about is that maybe I wasn't given the right amount of self-esteem by my parents. Maybe they didn't hug me enough, and maybe they didn't hold me enough, maybe they didn't tell me how much they loved him enough. But should I do that to my children now? Because unfortunately, that's what happens. You know, the cotton runs behind the needle. So we kind of like imitate, recreate what our parents did. So I'm old school like my father. I've heard that countless times. And what is old school? I think that's an excuse not to develop. There is only one school, and that's the school of Rasulullah Pak. And what he did is what we do. Not your father, grandfather, great grandfather, and whoever it is. We don't follow custom, we follow Islam. And Rasulullah Pak was very kind to his children. 2 weeks ago, there was a lecture by Maulana Khatani at this time. Unfortunately, we didn't play the recording that I recorded, but Maulana Khatani gave such a wonderful bayan. I think that was the better thing to do on the day, because he spoke about the character of Rasulullah Pak and how he was with his children, how he was with his wives. And it was such a beautiful bayan. Now that's what we need to follow. So when we say old school, there is no old school. There's only one school, in the school of Sunnah. So how we're supposed to be with our children is what we need to talk about. Because maybe I wasn't given the best upbringing, but I survived, alhamdulillah. But my children need to have the best upbringing, because I can make a difference. As a father, I need to do that. So as parents, that's what we need to talk about. That's what we need to get there. So why will you be a person who's angry? Why will you be a person who is confused, frustrated, not coping? Well, your confidence. When you see a problem, do you see a challenge, or do you see a barricade? Do you see a wall that you can't go through? You see something that stops you. It's all up to you. How do you see things? So if you see a challenge, then you're very confident. But if you see a barricade and an impediment, you see an inconvenience, you get irritated, frustrated. Oh, now you see now look at this bloody puncture. But if you know who you are, say, Allah is saving us, because I think this delay is for a reason. I think Allah Pak is saving us from calamity out there. Never mind, let's change the tire quickly. Let's sort things out quickly. Now, it's you. It's all you. How you make those decisions. But what is imperative is the self-confidence. So there's a huge connection between the way we were raised and the adults we become. and certain behaviors from our parents, often unintentional, can lead us to developing low self confidence as we grow older. So maybe your father was an angry man, and that means low self confidence, because anger is a sign of weakness. Weakness in spirituality, because shaitan can really get to you and frustrate you and provoke you, and a lack of propriety and decorum. So you are a weak person if you get angry. Nobody says a person who gets angry is a strong person. They fear an angry person. They don't respect an angry person. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Remember, in studio 060 is the WhatsApp line. Please send us your WhatsApps. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. I beg you. But an angry person is not a strong person, not somebody that I look up to. It's somebody that I avoid. We fear angry people. We don't want to get into their bad books. But now, did your father or your mother teach you this? These behaviors aren't always obvious that they teach us. They can be subtle, little things that have a big impact over time. If I think about myself, then I would say my father taught me the value of wealth, because when he was a little boy, they were quite you know, unwealthy. Later on, Allah Pak opened the doors of barakah for them, and mashallah, they became very wealthy and very generous. My family, alhamdulillah, my entire family are very generous and very, very grounded people. But at the end of the day, my father subtly did explain to us that, you know what, money is a very important thing that we must be very aware of, and it mustn't be something that you are just throwing away. So you mustn't be ostentatious, and you mustn't be very over the top. So these are nuances. And then also he taught me about hard work. And alhamdulillah, I call myself a workaholic because I think he was a workaholic, and he admitted it. But because he came from such dire situations, that he knew that you have to work in life to get somewhere. So this is what he passed on. So um, there are some things that the parents do unintentionally that affect you as a child. And maybe you are that. Now remember, as a counselor, we see this and we check for this, because we need to know how strong are your mechanisms to cope. So when a husband and wife come in and they can't stop fighting, then we find out that maybe the husband has a low threshold. That means he gets triggered very quickly. So if she has to say something out of turn, he gets very angry very fast. Or alternatively, she, on the other hand, is very sensitive. So why is it? And then we start to develop the self-esteem, because to fix a marriage is not something where you just put a band-aid on. You have to understand the profile and the psychology of the persons involved. So if you have to talk to them, you have to understand them. And without understanding them, you can't help them. So this is the intricacy, and which we deal with. And it is quite intricate, because we deal with so many people with so much of background, with so much of history, and it's quite hectic. But alhamdulillah, we love it and we can do it all the time. So one thing that unfortunately parents do that really affects the children is when they're constantly criticizing the children. And you know, you can say as much as you want, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But as we grow older, we realize that that's not entirely true, because those words do cut like a knife through our heart. And if your father was never proud of you and constantly called you a lazy, good for nothing idiot that can't perform as well as maybe his cousins can, or he's a disappointment, and if you do so well, but if you don't do well in an Afrikaans paper, and he's constantly criticizing that one thing that you did wrong or one thing that you didn't do well in, then you grow up feeling unaware of your achievements and unaware of who you truly are. So words, particularly those from our parents, carry a lot of weight. And if those words were constantly critical, it can have a lasting impact. Stand straight. What is wrong with you? Comb your hair. Can't you keep a comb in your pocket? Now, yes, there is a discipline factor, and sometimes our hair is unruly. I remember as a young boy, I had unruly hair. But my father would balance it out. If he said, keep a comb in your pocket, but he won't shout and say, what is wrong with you? You look like a barbarian. He won't overdo it. He won't constantly criticize me, and he won't be harsh. So parents who excessively criticize their children, even if it's meant as constructive feedback, can unknowingly plant seeds of self-doubt. My father didn't make me feel as if though I'm a unruly person, untidy. He just said, listen, be neat and tidy. Now, at an age where you don't really worry about anything besides sport, I'm talking about when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, he didn't break me. So he didn't manifest as low self-confidence in adulthood, because he didn't really go over harsh. And now I'm being a little bit harsh because it's time for a ad break. So without me being criticized, I would suggest that we take an ad break, and please stay tuned as we will.
Radio Ansar.
Every day's a good day. Did you hear? Your favorite 24-hour dentist has moved? Crown Dental Studio, offering everything your smile needs, from general to cosmetic dentistry. Female practitioner now available upon request. Call us on 081 207 8621 to schedule your next appointment. Or visit our new studio at 26 McCuton Avenue, Durban North. Crown Dental Studio, your 24-hour dentist.
It's official. Checkers Foods Kawi Park is our first food store with a halal butchery, bakery and deli certified by NIHT, the National Independent Halal Trust. This will ensure high standards and ethical practices across our butchery, bakery and deli from farm to table. So visit Checkers Foods Kawi Park for an exceptional shopping experience that keeps getting better and better.
They convince the world to believe that terrorists look like beards and thobes. Now, as the facade cracks, one martyr after another, the world sees through the broken windows and now knows the true face of terrorism. It wears suits and ties and smiles behind lies.
اللهم احفظ المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الحاقدين اللهم أعد المسجد الأقصى إلى رحاب المسلمين اللهم وطهر المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الغاصبين اللهم عليك بهم فإنهم لا يعجزونك يا قوي يا متين اللهم منزل الكتاب مجري السحاب هازم الأحزاب سريع الحساب اهزم اليهود وزلزلهم يا قوي يا عزيز.
Audio stream across the world on radioalansar.co.za.
बदल दे दिल की दुनिया दिल बदल दे खुदाया फजल फरमा दिल बदल दे सुनूं मैं नाम तेरा धड़कनों में मजा आ जाए मौला दिल बदल दे मजा आ जाए मौला दिल बदल दे मौला या बदल दे दिल की दुनिया दिल बदल दे खुदाया फजल फरमा दिल बदल दे.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for sticking around with us. I don't know if I was interesting enough, but inshallah, I thank you for being patient with us. Yes, you're listening to Radio Al Ansar, the 90.4 FM, 105.6 in Pietermaritzburg radio station, and you could be audio streaming, as I was, all over the world. But subhanallah, if you're listening, it's coming live to from our studios at 207 West Road. My name is Fazal Joosab. This is the Dil Badal Day show. And we have some WhatsApps that have come through, and please, I don't want to not read them. Assalamu alaikum. Let's thank Allah for every single drop of water that has quenched our thirst, and for every single morsel of food that has filled our belly, and the ability to see, hear, and communicate, for all the favors that we can neither imagine nor count. Alhamdulillah, all praise and gratitude to Allah. Truly a wonderful message. Have a beautiful heart, be thoughtful of others, love others for the pleasure of Allah, and spread goodness wherever you go. Leave a legacy behind so that when you leave this world, your memories lingers on in the hearts of the people who you've touched with your kindness. I love this message. I love the part of the legacy. Ma, you sent a beautiful message that really touches my heart. Honestly, it's all about leaving a legacy, because after you're gone, people need to remember you. And that's what we call the legacy. So am I going to be remembered as a person who was disliked, was unruly, or a person who spread happiness, who spread cheer, who was an asset to society, who lived a life that perhaps you can say that, you know what, he was in some way successful. Legacy. Hey. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My Fazal Bhai and Bhabi not here today. Make maaf, inshallah, next week. To the kids who are undertaking the journey of Hifz, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy on you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open your heart to the words of the Holy Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect His divine word in your heart. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide you in every step you take and shower you and your family with His richest blessings. Ameen. If you have the power to make someone smile, do it. And the world needs more people like you. Like a love is like and love is different things. The one who loves flowers will pluck it and keep it with him, but the one who cares for flowers will take care, will water it, strengthen it, look after and treasure it. Up to you what you want to choose, either break it or treasure it. What will you do if the whole world is against you? Take your phone, turn around, take a selfie, then the whole world will be behind you. Okay, that's a new one. My Faisal bhai, you always give good advice. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Thank you for that. My Faisal bhai and Bhavi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aap aur aapki family ko hamesha khush rakhe aur salamat rakhe. Inshallah, Ameen, Sister Ruqayya. Ameen, Suma Ameen. Thank you for that, Sister Ruqayya. All right, this is our brother as well. Salams to all. Remember the time when father said, if you don't pull your socks up, you will be shunted to Mia's farm. But now sometimes we didn't even wear socks, only wore champals. That's true. So it was a figure of speech. Okay. Thank you for that, because that brought up thing, because I was also threatened with Mia's farm. Anyway, so before the break, if you just joined us, we were talking about self-esteem and how somehow the parents not doing a complete job perhaps hurt our confidence as adults. We do not have the foundation that our parents are supposed to give us. So one of those things that hurt our self-confidence, the foundation of self-confidence as adults, is when as a parent you constantly criticize. Now imagine now you make a small mistake, like you came late to the table. You are late, everlasting. And you're thinking, if you open your mouth, you're going to get into more trouble. So you'd rather just shut it. But you're thinking, Dad, what are you talking about? It's like the first time in months that I'm late at the table. But he's just basically venting on you. As parents, what we have to be careful of is that we mustn't let our frustrations overwhelm us to the level where we overdo with our kids. Just because they are under us doesn't mean that they have to be constantly, our foot needs to be on their neck. They have to be love and understanding and discipline, yes, but they need to understand the responsibility of actions. That means if they do wrong, then you punish them. But if they're going to do the slightest mistake or error, then for you to come down like a ton of bricks on them, then it breaks them. And criticism sounds like that. So it's not about parents being perfect or never pointing out mistakes. It's about the frequency and intensity of criticism. Regular harsh criticism can lead to a child believing they are never good enough, a belief that can carry into adulthood. Look, I'm a family marriage counselor. I've told you that many times, and I see this on a constant basis. That where people clamor for their parents' attention or their parents' validation is because they never heard a kind word. There are so many people out there that their parents have passed away and they wish that their parents could have hugged them and said, I love you, son. I love you, my child. And you're going to say, Dad, I love you. And whatever run-ins they had, or whatever harshness and whatever, problems they had and whatever, but at least they had that moment where they said that, you know what, I don't care. Are you flawed? But you are my child. I love you. Now, how many parents have not done that? I know, because I see that on a constant level. So it's not a nice thing. And sometimes when the parents are gone, then you live with this hollowness that, you know what, your relationship was never properly repaired. So I try in counseling also to repair those relationships where, you know what, I don't care what's happened in the past. Let's turn the page and let's start fresh. You know what, you in your 60s and 70s now, I've got children. My children are your grandchildren. Let's start fresh. Let's be friends. And let me tell you who I am. And tell me how much you've helped me and how much you've given me, Dad. I love you, Dad. That's what we need to do. And dads in return say, you know what, son, I know I made some mistakes in life. I realize that now in my old age, but I realized that, you know what, I was a bit harsh. I'm sorry. Remember, Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never made any mistakes, never made any errors, but he asked maaf from the Sahabas, just so that we as his ummat can follow in his footsteps and ask for maaf. So it doesn't make us in any way small to ask for maaf. In fact, Maulana has said this, I think it was last year. He said that we should ask our wives and our children for maaf, because what if we have in some way taken away their rights? Now, another thing that happens is a lack of emotional support. I mean, emotional support is absolutely vital for a child's development. It helps to build resilience, confidence, and a sense of self-worth. Now, when you were growing up, did you feel dismissed and overlooked? I did, because I mean, my siblings are much better than me. I mean, I got 4 siblings, and they're wonderful people. I mean, I got 2 sisters and 2 brothers, and amazing. I would feel upset or nervous about something. And the common response, if I have to tell my parents, hey, listen, man, you're acting like a baby. Get over it. Come on. Now, they wanted to make me stronger. I understand. But sometimes the lack of emotional validation, it makes you start to question your own feelings and whether you are valid or important. Luckily, there was a balance. There were times where they made me feel special. Now, what I'm emphasizing today is that let it be that there are more special moments than more harsh moments where you have to teach them how to grow up. Like we always tell our children, what are you crying for? Come on, don't be a baby now. We have to do that. Yes, we have to give them that push to say that, you're stronger than what you believe. But at the same time, they must say, don't worry, I'm here. You're not going to collapse. You're not a baby. Come on, be strong. Show some spine now. I'm here. Come on. So the kids learn that, what, you've got their back. So, and as an adult, you sometimes realize that that lack of emotional well-being, it had an impact on your self-confidence, and it made you more hesitant to express your feelings for fear of them being dismissed or invalidated. There are so many people out there, so many adults out there, so many spouses out there that can't tell their spouse regularly, I love you. Oh, she knows I love her. He knows, man. He knows. What I need to tell him every day that he's handsome or I love him. It's important. It's necessary. It's parts of Sharia. You have to tell people, I love you. You have to do this. Allah has afforded you somebody that's so close to your heart, so amazing. You have to tell them, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Courtesy and kindness only makes hearts stronger. So the lack of emotional support is something that really hurts. It makes you feel very lonely. Now, I'm sure if there are some people out there who are listening to me right now and do feel lonely, and they're surrounded by people around them. They have kids and they have spouses and they have parents and grandparents and in-laws, but they feel lonely. This is probably one of the reasons why. Then sometimes we overdo it with overprotectiveness. I could be guilty of that as well too. But sometimes we love our children too much, and then we don't afford them the ability to grow and learn from their mistakes. So you can't over pamper them. You need to let them fall so that they can learn how to pick themselves up. And you have to know that, what, you're not going to be around forever to pick them up. There's going to come times where you'll need to take a step back and let them do their thing. Then unrealistic expectations. Every father feels like he wants to guide his son, present company included. Every mother feels that they should be there to protect their children. But every parent wants their child to succeed. But when expectations are set unrealistically high, it can lead to feelings of constant disappointment and inadequacies. All your children are not going to be the same. 5 fingers are not the same, but the hand is so amazing. You have to be a person that understands that the thumb is ugly, but the thumb is invaluable, because you can't open a jar without a thumb, and you can't get a lift without a thumb. And you can't say somebody you're okay without your thumb. You know what I mean? I'm actually doing that to my engineer right now, because you need a thumb. But it's short, it's stubby, and it's not the same as perhaps the index finger, the tashahud finger. You know what I mean? That's amazing. It's like powerful. And when it points at somebody, it creates respect. When you point at somebody, then the person looks at you and says, yeah, you're pointing at me. Thumb, but look how important. Now, sometimes your children are not going to be that way. But to make them feel as if though they're inadequate or there's something wrong with them, that's unfair. Allah created them, and that's your DNA running through them. If you are insulting and offending and disrespecting them, you're disrespecting yourself. Don't do that. Calling your children fat, skinny, stupid. Now, jokingly, look, we all joke with our kids. Hey, Gandu, come here. Pagal, come here. Yeah. But do they really believe that they are somebody that is not in their father's best interest? How much do you hug your son? How much do you hug your daughter? How much do you hold them and say to them, you know what? I love you. Yeah, I love hugging you. You charge me when I look forward to these hugs. Do you say things like, why aren't you saying things like that? I mean, they need those things. They need to build themselves up. Okay. As a few messages have come through. Salams, I don't tell my husband that I love him because I'll be lying. I don't love him. But I try my best to treat him right as a human being. Wow, sister. I mean, okay. Why don't you love him? Has he hurt you? Because if he hurt you, then you have to ask yourself a question. Do you love Allah? If you love Allah, then you are respecting him at the moment and giving him his rights, which is fantastic, amazing, wonderful. I applaud you and I am in awe of you. But if you can look at the good in him and not look at the bad that he's done, because I'm sure, because you say you don't love him, because he's obviously hurt you. He's done things that has hurt you. But, we always look at the smaller part, which is the part where we mess up, where we fail. We're very critical. Now, I don't know. You know better. I'm just taking a shot in the dark. But I'm sure your husband has a lot of good qualities as well. If you look at the good qualities, then perhaps you learn to tolerate the situation a lot more. And I believe firmly, and the ulama has told us this, that Allah is the one that places love in the hearts of the spouses when they get married. And yes, it is our responsibility to maintain that love, and not by being harsh with one another. And I'm sure your husband has done some things to be harsh with you. That is why you're saying this. And it took a lot of courage for you to say this. So, again, I applaud you for being honest. But I would encourage you to do something for your own benefit and for the benefit of your children. Love him for the pleasure of Allah Pak, and Allah will love you more. So look at what he has done, what he is doing, which is beneficial and good, and don't look at the harshness or the things that he passed. And remember, what's past you can't fix, and the future is unknown. But today you can smile a whole lot more if you feel that Alhamdulillah, lucky I have a husband. Because I promise you, I know he's flawed and he's hurt you and you don't love him. But when you speak to ladies who've lost their husbands, who are widows, then you get a different perspective altogether. So I don't know. I hope I'm so sorry. I don't know your case, and I'm just giving you advice off the cuff. I hope I'm not hurting your feelings or being harsh with you. I'm just trying to encourage you that if you can find the positivity and the optimism in the relationship for your own benefit, and Allah reward you for it. Okay, so unrealistic expectations like how I just had now for the sister. But when children who feel that they can never meet their parents' expectations, they may grow up to be adults who are hard on themselves with an internal voice that always says, "You're not good enough." They keep on saying that to themselves because their parents made them believe it. And this constant pursuit of perfection can lead to so low self-confidence, like, OCD, where does it come from? I can't make a mistake. Why are you frightened to make a mistake? A mistake is not a bad thing. A mistake is a stepping stone. It's a learning curve. When you make a mistake, you realize what you're not supposed to do. It's not a death sentence. You're not committing a crime or a guna. A mistake is, okay, oh, I forgot my keys. Oh, I'm so stupid. How could I have done something? You're human, Baba. Humans make mistakes. So setting unrealistic expectations is another parental behavior that can impact self-confidence. Comparison with others. Your cousin is better than you. Your brother is better than you. Your sister's better than you. I was better than you when I was your age. Eesh. Growing up, dinner time conversations, unfortunately, used to steer that way. You need to pull your socks up and you need to do this and you need to do that. But these comparisons, while possibly intended to inspire to do better, it sometimes has the opposite effect. And they make you feel as though you are constantly competing and falling short. Like you're running a race that has no finish line and you're going to finish dead last. You feel inadequate all the time and you grow up feeling that way. You're never good enough. And then what happens? You feel this constant war inside of you. You feel conflicted. Anything you do, you say no. Everybody will tell you, wow, that's amazing. You baked an amazing cake, and you'll think, no, you know what? I don't think the frosting was right. And you can do so well in your job and you'll be driving a luxurious car and everything, keep on saying, no, I could have done more. No, shukr is a very important. Allah Pak, thank you brought me to that level. And that your father, your mother, your adults, the elders can teach you. But comparison, it feels like a hit to your self-confidence, and it makes you believe that you just were not good enough. And that's something as parents we need to be careful of, not to make our children feel inadequate, invalidated. Neglecting achievements is another very important thing. When they do well, you need to tell them, you've done very well. Alhamdulillah. You're amazing. It's necessary. It's very necessary. Like a teacher how rewards the students when they do well and they give them A's and they say, oh, A. This is important because if you get a D, then you have to improve. You get an A, you understand that now you are on a level that is supposed to be maintained, and that's where you stay. So when you do well and you tell your parents, listen, you know what, today I was playing cricket and I made 50 runs of 30 balls. So you should be in the national team. South Africa needs you. What the hell are you playing in this local school team for? That's how you're supposed to talk. Be a buddy. Be a cheerleader. Dad, today, you know what, I was in school and I read my namaz perfectly. I think I read, mashallah, I think you're better than me, son. Because I don't think I've read my namaz perfectly in my life. At least you got one namaz. I don't even have, I got 0. Talking like that. Because acknowledging a child's achievements, big or small, is crucial for their self-confidence. Daddy, see, I did this Lego. I did this, I did that. Wow, son. You are very creative. I'm not creative at all. How did you? I know you got this from your mother. Your mother is very creative. She's very beautiful and she's very amazing. This is definitely from your mother, not from me. What you get from me is stupidity and stubbornness. Then he laugh with you and say, "No, Daddy, you're not like that. You're smart." So yeah, that's what your mother says as well too. I know you're giving me charity. Then you'll all laugh. You'll laugh and humble and but where you make him feel like as if though he's so nice and you're so happy with him. And okay, the humility part you don't have to do, where I just, that's my own personal thing. But at the end of the day, applauding them, it gives them a sense of accomplishment and motivates them to strive for more. Then the next day they're coming with another leg over you, and the next day another one, because they love the fact that you appreciate what they do. You must remember, the first um, cheerleader for a child is their parents. When we applaud them and say, "You made me so proud," my father did that for me. He told me that, "You know what, I'm so proud of you." My mother, she said to me, "You know what, I am so proud of you." They said this to me, and today that carries me. Parents who overlook or dismiss their child's achievements, they may unintentionally make them feel their efforts aren't worth much. That means they'll give up the reason to try harder. This can lead to a lack of motivation and a belief that they're incapable of succeeding. So neglecting and not recognizing and celebrating a child's achievements is a bad thing. You have to say well done. You have to say I'm proud of you. And it doesn't take much, just a little bit of time. Sister Rukia, you've taken the time to send us messages. Alhamdulillah. Even if you spend millions on your children for their education, they will flee from you that day when man flee from his father. But if you made them memorize the Quran, they shall search for you and make you wear the crown of honor, inshallah. Ameen. No matter where in the world you are, no matter what you're doing, always remember you, my Fazal Bhai and Babi, always in my du'as. Ameen, Sister Rukia. Don't hate him for his one wrong thing of 1,000 good deeds he did. My Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving. From Sister Rukia, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you, my sister, Sister Rukia. So, Sister C, you made that statement. Even Sister Rukia is making dua for you. Another thing parents do is conditional love. The most crucial thing to remember is that a child should never feel their parents' love is conditional on their behavior, achievements, or characteristics. So that means it's only reward, otherwise you're not good enough. When they make a mistake, it's very important to say to them that, listen, you made a mistake, fine, and you're going to recover from it. But you're still my child. You're still my son. You're still my daughter. I'm not going to throw you away. I can't. I can never throw you away. You are you're my child. You're going to be called by my name, and my obligation is to love you. So unconditional love fosters a sense of security and self-worth in a child. When they go to school, when they dressed up for that first day, you look so nice. It's so nice to see you in uniform. It's nice to see you getting out of the house. Make a joke, laugh about it, but make them feel good about themselves. When they come back home and say, "Hey, you'll do so much of homework and all that. I could never do homework." Boost their confidence. Make them feel as if though they are doing something that is admirable. But if love is given or withdrawn based on conditions, it can lead to severe self-confidence issues. That means if you didn't do well and then you isolate them and you treat them badly, then they're going to feel very heartbroken, because the only acceptable norm is if you succeed. If you come second, then that's no good. Or if you don't do well, it's not good. No, that's not right. The child may grow up believing that they need to earn love and approve constantly, leading to a cycle of self-doubt and low self-esteem. Again, they feel not worthy. It's not good. It eventually catches up with them, and it hurts them, because if you are not going to be a person that unconditionally loves their children, then there'll come a time when they won't unconditionally love you, and you won't be the person there. So try and spend time in everyday family leisure activities and associated with greater emotional bonding with the family. Like um, gardening, washing the car, walking around, going for a walk, going to buy the bread and milk. These are things that, "Oh, daddy, can I buy the chocolate?" Okay, but will you share it with me, or you're going to whack it on your own? Then they look at you. So you see now, so give me my share before. Now you see that bonds. Then the child will remember 50 years that, you know what, I used to go to the supermarket and I used to my father used to buy me a chocolate, and he made sure he didn't trust me to take. They'll remember fondness that my father wanted to share this with me. My mother will buy this and say, "Listen, share with your brothers, don't do that, don't do that." These are necessary things, because a family's core activities and the balance activities, these are the special events that make you connect. So children in families that participate in religious activities together are more likely to report seeing expressions of love and affection. That means, when you sit together, you read Quran together, you read Salah, you take your son for namaz. Your son appreciates that. He'll remember that. So these are these things that you can really inculcate in your life and build because we want good results in school. We want them to do the best, but they're only going to do the best if they have the confidence to say, "Bismillah ar-Rahman Allah, I'm going to ace this paper. You know what? I'm a South African. I'm going to get this done." We need that, that oomph, that lion roar. This is who we are. We are lions. That's who we are. But you have to teach your child how to be a lion. You don't have to have that confidence. But you also have to show him love. And when you sit together and read Quran together, discuss things together, then your child looks at you and says, you know what, my father really gets me. He loves me. So a family that prays together usually does stay together as well. Academic success is associated with having parents who frequently communicate with them. That means you have to be a parent who talks about their child's studies, not about how much you're paying for their school fees. That's not the only subject. Or when you go in for the parents meeting and they say your child's handwriting is not so good, or your child is not doing their homework on time, or your child is now sleeping in class or slackening off. Don't only talk about that, talk about the good stuff as well. When they do well in a certain subject, we say, mashallah, I love the way you did so well in Arabic, or you did so well in maths. Children whose fathers spend time with them doing activities tend to have better academic performance. That means they feel appreciated by their father, they feel appreciated by their peer. And their father is somebody that really, really they need the approval of. You can't escape it. Everybody needs their father's approval. Even when you look at literature, you look at fiction. I mean, look at Hamlet. He was so affected by his father's death. So that became the core of one of the tragedies of Shakespeare. That's Shakespeare. When it comes to the our deen, our iman, our sharia, how important a father is. You don't walk in front of him, you walk behind him. That's what we've been told by the ulama. Your father is a very important person, but the father needs to also look at the child as very important, because the child is your investment in your akhirah. Because once you leave this dunya, the child is going to make dua for you every day and say, my father was a good man and I loved him, and Allah forgive him for he was good to me. So if you're going to spend more time, then academically they will improve and they will connect with you, because adolescents whose parents are involved in their lives tend to exhibit fewer behavioral problems. Because if you are a person that is more involved in their child's life, they'll want to be more adult like you. They love having adult conversations because you're more associated with them. So they'll tend to be more adult-like, more mature. They'll sit with you and like to have conversations. Dad, I was watching something on YouTube and I'd like to share this with you. Okay, son, what is it that you want to say? And he'll go into a rant and rave about what he saw and how the world is so many kilometers long and all of this and that. And he'll impress you with his amazing grasp. Necessary. So today, my message is that, look, we can't change the past, but we can help the future with our children. Let's focus. Thank you for listening. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for being an amazing audience. Thank you for tolerating me. And alhamdulillah, I hope it was an amazing experience today, as it was for me. It should have been for you, but thank you anyway. And remember, if you are thinking about divorcing, please give me a chance to talk you out of it. My number is 083 7789 314. Alternatively, 084 278 6667. Please don't divorce. Let me try to rescue the situation, please. Till next week, inshallah. Stay tuned to Radio Al-Ansar, and we'll talk to you next week, inshallah. Jazakallah so much for being an amazing audience, and to my engineer for being an amazing engineer as well, as always. Till next week, inshallah. This is me signing off till next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
या खुदाया फजल फरमा दिल बदल दे या मौला मौला